Hello. Welcome to the Monday evening live stream presented by Nick Talks Money. We just posted a new video today, just a couple seconds ago, actually, a couple minutes ago. Hey, if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and pop over there. I promise I'll still be here when you come back. It's only like 35 seconds long. With Seals McGee's back in the chat. You have been in probably my past like 4 or 5 live streams. Really appreciate you, my man or woman, but your profile picture makes it appear like you're a man, so we're going with that for now. So we're just doing a quick little, I guess not a little quick little Q&A. I plan to go for at least a half hour, 45 minutes. Hey, if the conversation is really flowing, we could go for an hour here. So, hey, appreciate all these invitations to go live together, but I think we're riding solo here. I've never done a dual live. This is a Q&A video, so if you have any questions that you want to ask me about money, investing, taxes, just posted a video about buying a car, could share my knowledge on that. Could ask me about Public, the purveyors of this fantastic hat that I'm currently wearing, that brings up weird conversations about various different alt cryptocurrencies with cashiers at grocery stores, so that's always fun. Everything, all the topics are on the table, so it's up to you guys to ask me whatever your heart desires, and I'll give you a 100% non-biased, truthful answer. Sahaj Garwal 48 says, Hey, how's it going? Thanks for hopping on here. G Money May says 8th up B. I don't even know what that means, but hey, how's it going? CSMG confirms that he is indeed a man, so glad we got that right. And Diana Saturn with the very first question of tonight's live stream. She asked, did you buy any stocks today? No, I actually, I did not. So typically I would be, I usually invest twice a month, and that's basically whenever I get my paychecks from work. And a little more frequently now that we're actually getting a little bit of income from TikTok here. But yeah, usually I'm only investing twice a month. From my regular paycheck earnings. I do what I preach to you guys all the time is set aside a certain percentage or a certain amount from each paycheck to automatically invest that every single month to make sure you never miss out on investments and make sure you keep putting money into the market. But I am currently in the super fun house hunting space. I'm trying to look for a rental property to purchase, so I'm basically just saving up all of my otherwise investable cash as just in a money market fund. So I can use that for closing costs, for down payments, for anything of the like if I do end up finding a place. And it's a very hot market right now, so we'll see if that happens. But yeah, I'm keeping probably about $30K in cash right now. And that's probably really about all I need. So I probably should start to invest more of the cash I'm bringing in, because I don't really foresee me needing much more than that to put down as closing costs, as a down payment. So yeah, I probably should start investing here soon. But no new stocks today. What do I think of Topps? What do I think of Topps? Is that the trading card company? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, man. Well, if you've heard me talk about individual stocks before, you know I'm not a big fan of them, and that basically stands with Topps as well. And what I say is like, hey, no matter how hot a specific company seems to be, no matter how good their future growth prospects seem to be, no matter how good their business prospects look like they're going to be, you just simply can't predict what's going to happen in the market in the coming years with individual companies. All you can bet on is that the market as a whole is going to continue to go up. That is especially true with things like Topps, which seem to be kind of cyclical businesses. I mean, they're a trading card manufacturer. I don't know a lot of people in my demographic that are really interested in trading cards, but obviously there are super strong pockets of the population that do invest heavily into them. But that, along with the whole fact that I'm not a big fan of individual companies, and I'd much rather prefer to invest in the entire stock market through ETFs like VTI, ITOT, SCHB, all the fun ones I love to throw it on here. I would not personally invest in Topps, and I couldn't recommend anyone else do it either. Logfish asks, how do I personally decide when to pull the trigger and sell on a winning small cap stock? And that's a great question, and that's one of the big reasons why I don't recommend that people invest into individual stocks and cryptocurrencies and other things of that nature, because Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Half the battle is just finding the right stock that actually appreciates in value, and then half the battle is being like, hey, like, yeah, this is appreciated X%. Should I sell? Like, should I hold? Will it keep going up, or do I risk holding it and it'll go back down to what I bought it for, even less than I bought it for? Like, how do I know when to sell? And the way you can, well, there's two ways to go about this. One, obviously, you can set a number, be like, hey, if I get a 10% return on this, that's awesome. I'll sell it, take my profits. But the easier way is to not have to worry about this because you invest in the entire stock market, or maybe just a small cap index ETF like IJR, and I think VB is Vanguard's. VB is either their small cap or mid cap. I'm pretty sure it's their small cap. And yeah, by just investing in indexes, you get exposure to the entire small markets or small cap space even you can invest in larger indexes like VTI, ITOT, SCHB. They're big, broad-based, passively managed, total U.S. stock market ETFs. So you still get exposure to the mid-cap, micro-cap, mid-cap, or small cap. I said mid-cap twice, along with the large cap companies. And this way, you really never have to worry about when is the right time to sell for any specific stock, because as a whole, over the long term, your indexes should go nowhere but up. So really, you'd only sell if you specifically need the money for something, which is great, because if you sell, you generate a tax liability. So if you don't sell, you avoid taxes, and we're all about avoiding taxes here. That's one of the best ways to preserve your money, is by avoiding taxes whenever possible, and you can do that by not selling. Set a target for yourself. It sounds like you already are invested in individual small cap stocks, so set a target for yourself. If you're okay with that investment, pull the trigger, but I'd recommend just going with indexes moving forward. Seals McGee, invest in real estate full time. That's awesome. That explains why you know more about real estate than me. I love it. If you have any input on it, feel free to throw it in here. The Pope01 asks, if you buy and sell stocks less than a year, but reinvest into more stocks, are there taxes on that? That's a great question. Yeah, a lot of people have this question, especially when they first start out investing. And the short answer is yes, it's still taxed. If you sell a stock that's held within a taxable account, so it's like in a brokerage account, in like a standard investing account, you could think of it like that. Is anytime you sell a stock for a gain, that is taxed. Anytime you get paid dividends, that is taxed. It doesn't matter if you keep these funds within your account, if you use these funds to reinvest in a different stock. Doesn't matter if you give these funds to your grandma, they're always going to be taxed. The only time they're not taxed is if the sales or dividends happen within a tax-advantaged retirement account, like a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, or in the 401k, SEP IRA, any form of retirement account. If nothing is taxed, if everything stays within the account, the only times things like your earnings would be taxed is if you withdraw them before your retirement date, or before age 59 and a half, I should say, which is the IRS's determined early retirement date. But yeah, if it's in a taxable account, they're all taxed. If it is in an IRA, it's not taxed. So yeah, it depends on where your funds are. Diana Saturn says, I'm waiting for the housing market to cool down to buy an investment home. Yeah, that's doesn't seem like a bad idea. The only word of warning I'd give is, much like trying to time the stock market, it is basically impossible to time the real estate market. So I'd say, hey, if you're interested in buying a place, just jump into the market now. See if there's any deals that come up that do make sense, because there's just simply no telling if or when this hot real estate market will ever cool down. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just going to keep going up. Maybe homes have just permanently increased in value by a very large magnitude. And who knows? Maybe they'll crash tomorrow. Nobody knows. And just like nobody knows what the stock market's going to be doing in the next month, in the next 2 months, in the next 6 months. But just like the stock market, you can confidently predict that the real estate market as a whole is going to continue to increase over the long run. I mean, I looked up stats for a couple videos I was making a couple weeks ago, and basically you can expect an average home to appreciate about 3% every year, which isn't great compared to the stock market, but it is great when you add on to the fact that, like, hey, this 3% appreciation is on an asset that may be worth like $300,000 or $400,000 as opposed to your stock market portfolio, which is probably a lot less than that. It's I wouldn't recommend attempting to time the market, even if the real estate market is absolutely bonkers right now. There's just no telling if it's going to continue to be bonkers in the future, and there's always going to be deals to be had in the market. It just may be a lot harder to find them right now, which I'm I'm definitely hitting that roadblock right now, but I'm still trying. So I'd say get out there. If nothing comes across your desk, at least you know you tried, and there's still going to be house availability in the future. Ehab XIENER asks, if we are 15-year-old and our money is in a savings account, what should we do with it? Roth IRA? Yeah, that'd be a great place to start. The only thing is that you're under 18, so you would need your parents to sign on to open a Roth IRA account for you. This is called opening a custodial Roth IRA. Alternatively, you can also open up a custodial brokerage account, but we'll get into that in a couple seconds here. But I would say open up a Roth IRA if you are currently working a job, if you have earned income. Because if you don't have earned income, then you're not going to be able to contribute to that Roth IRA and invest in that Roth IRA. It's against the rules to do so, so you would be breaking the law if you try doing that. So if you don't have a job right now, just open up a custodial brokerage account, which is what you think of a brokerage account. It's a big word, but basically it just means that it's a regular stock trading account, regular investing account. What you think of when you think of that, when you think of a investing account, it's where you hold your stocks, where you hold any cash you want to use to buy your stocks. And there's no tax advantages. You can buy and sell at will, withdraw at will. There's no special rules around retirement, unlike IRAs, unlike with 401ks. So if you have earned income, open a custodial Roth IRA. If you don't have earned income, open a custodial brokerage account. And if you don't have any earned income right now, then hey, maybe you could open up both of them. And then when you do start working, then start contributing to your Roth as well. Good morning, lads. Asking the whole mutual fund versus ETF question yet again. Yes, so basically, like I said in other videos or in other live streams, the battle between mutual funds and ETFs is a very one-sided affair, and I'll just give you a quick overview of what each ones are for those of you who aren't aware. Mutual funds are essentially, so they're a basket of stocks. They're basically a big fund. So think of like a big lump of money put together by the investors in these mutual funds. This money is then dispersed among different individual stocks by a fund manager and their team of analysts who are basically saying like, hey, we're looking at this index, like the S&P 500, and we want to outperform this index. So to outperform this index, we're going to invest into individual stocks that we think are going to do better than this index. And because you have this whole team of investment managers that are running this thing and picking individual stocks and putting a bunch of work into it, and actively trading, so they're buying and selling a lot of stocks, there's going to be a lot of fees associated with these kinds of funds. So that leads to mutual funds having 50 to 80 to 100 times the fees that ETFs charge. And the thing is, ETFs outperform mutual funds 96% of the time. And for those of you who don't know what ETFs are, they are very similar to mutual funds, as in they are a big conglomerate of people's money, a big pool of money given to a fund by investors, but there's no fund manager, there's no team of analysts. All it does is look at an index like the S&P 500 or the total US stock market index, and it invests the cash between those companies based on how big those companies are. And basically, it just automatically allocates that cash on a monthly or quarterly basis based off of what the index is doing. There's no individual fund manager trying to beat the index. And the great thing about these funds is their fees are essentially zero most of the time. Like for an S&P fund or a total US stock market fund, the fees are literally 0.03%, so 3 cents for every $100 you invest, which basically is nothing in the grand scheme of things, whereas the big 1%, 2%, 3% fees charged by mutual funds can literally cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over the long run if you have any decent amount of cash invested with these things. And yeah, like I said, fund managers, just like how day traders can't beat the market consistently, just like how regular like retail stock pickers can't beat the market consistently, just like how hedge funds can't beat the market consistently, mutual fund managers fail to beat the market consistently, even when you don't take into account their fees. So even without subtracting the cost of the fees, they still underperform the overall stock market or their index they're going against, like the S&P 500 or the total US stock market, but 96% of the time. That's the stat I was looking for. 96% of the time, they're worse than the market. So why are you paying for underperformance? That's like paying to go through a car wash that doesn't work when you could just leave your car out in the rain and let it get clean. I mean, it's not the best example, but we're getting there. It's basically what it is. You're paying for something that doesn't work. You're paying a premium for a service that just simply does not work. So I would stay far away from that. Xavier836294 asks, what is a good way to start making money young? Yes, this is the quintessential question. There are two paths I always recommend when brought up this question. And the first path is just hustling towards or hustling on something that is not super fun, but is basically guaranteed to make you money. And this could be something like, hey, starting a small lawn care business and like going over to like knocking on neighbors' doors and being like, hey, I'm the neighbor kid Xavier. Can I mow your lawn for $30? And then, hey, I mean, a bunch of people are probably like, hey, yeah, I don't like mowing my lawn anyways. Here's $30, kid. Go do a good job. And if you do a good job, we'll hire you back to do it twice a month. And they're going to be happy to help you out because you're a local neighbor kid. And this is something they don't like to do most of the time. And if you just, hey, get a strong base of 10, 20, 30 customers, they're going to, if they think you're doing a good job, they're going to keep referring you out to their friends and their friends and their friends. And eventually you could have a really highly scaled lawn care business. So you can start hiring your friends to help you with the whole thing. And there's countless stories of different entrepreneurs when asked like, hey, how'd you get your entrepreneurial start? Like, how'd you know that the world of business was for you? They always reference things like this, where it's like, yeah, I had this little this sweaty startup kind of thing where I just started and scaled a lawn care business to create 6 figures in income every year by the time I graduated high school. But they usually say they stop doing them because it's not something that they're really passionate about. And at that point, they realize they can be successful in business, so they try to choose something a little more in their realm of passion, and something they more enjoy doing. And let's transition over to your second way of income. So that's the first way. It's something that's guaranteed to really make you something, but it's going to be really hard work, and it's going to be something that's not something you're really going to enjoy doing. It's definitely going to feel like a job. But something that may not feel like a job is working on something that you're passionate about. But this also is far from guaranteed to pay you anything. And an example I can give you from my personal life is my very first job ever. If you guys were on previous live streams, you know this. I started a YouTube channel when I was 15, and I basically was like, hey, I'm a 15-year-old boy. What do? We play a lot of video games. And it was the end of my freshman year of high school, and basically I was like, hey, YouTube is really blowing up right now. This was back in like 2011 or something. I mean, I'm getting old here. This was back in the day, and YouTube was really just starting to get going, at least like gaming-wise. There is some guys getting really good traction on there, and I was like, hey, this might be a good way to make a little bit of side income while doing something that I like, which is playing video games. So I fired up Minecraft. I started making some cool contraptions on there. I started making some cool maps, started making some content that people enjoyed. And I really, I did put a lot of work into researching the market, saw what people were watching, saw what kind of videos did well, saw what kind of videos the algo was pushing to people. And I just grinded my tail off. I recorded a ton of videos, posted probably every day of the week, really kept on it, really interacted with fans, and really did a lot of shameless self-promotion on things like the different forums out there, different gaming forums, the comment sections of different people's videos, all this. And eventually, hey, a couple months into it, I became a partner on YouTube. And then a couple months after that, if you guys remember Machinima back in the day, I think they closed their doors a couple years ago, but they're the biggest like gaming content aggregator on YouTube. I got an agreement with them. And was making a couple $1,000 a month as a high schooler, which was awesome. I was just playing video games, making a couple $1,000 a month. But this is an example of, hey, a passion project. You can start now when you're young because you have nothing but time on your hands, and there's literally no downside if you fail. I mean, your parents are still going to pay for the roof over your head and the food on the table, so there's no risk of losing your way of life. So yeah, might as well take a moonshot like that while you're young if there's anything like that you are interested in. But hey, maybe you don't have something you're interested in like that. Maybe you just maybe you tried it for a couple months and there's just no traction. You're not getting any traction no matter what you're trying. You're trying to switch up the marketing tactics, trying to switch up your content, and you're just not getting any traction. Maybe at that point then switch over to something like, hey, landscaping, or hey, maybe do both of them at the same time. No one's saying you can't do one or the other. Maybe even make a YouTube account chronicling your journey making a landscaping company. Ooh, hey, who knows? Yeah, we will move on here. Diana Sater says VTI. Yeah, VTI is awesome. Total U.S. stock market index created by Vanguard, offered by Vanguard. Super low fees is what I personally have a huge investment in VTI. So yeah, big fan, big proponent of them. Good morning, lads. Asks, is there a checklist for picking out stocks? Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's thousands of them out there. It just depends on how useful they are. I did make my own mini ebook. It's like 7-8 pages long of my personal investing philosophy. If you want to check that out, it's in my bio. It is It is paid, but hey, you can little secret here. You can get almost half off if you just sign up for the first tier of my Patreon, and you get a free download of that ebook. So hey, you can read my personal investing philosophy. I give out all the reasons I don't invest in what I don't invest in, and all the reasons I do invest in what I do invest in. And I just give a whole list of basically all the ETFs I really like to invest in. And all that fun stuff basically gives a great overview of all my entire investment philosophy, and it'll be really useful for you. So check out, link in my bio. A lot of questions here. Appreciate y'all. Let me scroll back up here. It's just here 14 says if you want to give people cards with your contact information, how and what do you do? And what if you don't want to give them your real number? So are you talking about business cards? I believe that may be what you're doing here. And hey, I mean, basically you could just give people a business card with their email on it. I mean, they don't really need much more than that. And the burps are back. In today's day and age, really all you need is to throw an email address on there. I mean, yeah, if you're doing business, you could do it over email, you could do it via phone. Really depends on what you want to do, and you can do as much or as little as you want on there. Or you can even get a specific business phone number. There's the possibilities are limitless. Ragey Boy Zero. Other people have questions. Wait your turn. Anthony YYY says I made $3 off a stock. Hey, congratulations! Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Gains big and small. Love to hear them. TTV Panda Paw 234 asks Nick, how do debit cards work? Yes, great question. So I actually have a video on this I posted within the past couple weeks, so it's still pretty current. But I'll break it down to you for you on here, just so you can really see what's going on here. Debit cards are essentially, so you have a bank account and you want to buy something. Your debit card, and once you swipe that, it basically withdraws funds directly from your bank account instantly. You can only spend the amount of money that you actually have in your bank account. There's no really interest or fees you need to worry about associated with debit cards, and because of that, they're seen as a very safe thing to do. I mean, if you open a bank account, you should have a debit card because it basically replaces cash, and there's really no need to carry around cash as long as you have something like a debit card. But on top of that, I would recommend getting a credit card as long as you use it safely, responsibly. You always pay off the balance in full every month. And if you do that, it's actually a lot safer than a debit card. But hey, my video breaks it down a lot further than that. Ragey Boy Zero asks, how do you start investing? Like, where do I buy stocks, stocks and all that? Yeah, so this is this was the subject of, or this was kind of the inspiration behind the video I posted yesterday that got a good amount of traction, so I appreciate you all for that. Basically, I mean, I think schools should teach stuff like this, like just the basics. It's like, hey, like what is a stock and like how do I invest in these things, or why should I want to invest in these things? And the answer to that is to build generational wealth and to get out of the rat race and to actually become financially independent, because you shouldn't have to work your entire life just because you have no idea what you're doing with your cash and you just keep that in your bank account that knows they're actually losing value. But that's beside the point. So how do you start investing? First, you have to find a broker, and basically this is just a fancy word for saying someone who lets you open an account with them and buy and sell stocks from the major stock exchanges. And the one I partner with is Public. You can sign up through the link in my bio. I partner with them because they're a great place for beginners to start investing, because they educate you on basically what I preach, what I practice, and that's smart long-term investing. They don't let you do any of that day trading jazz, any options trading, because that's just gonna lose you money. So we don't want that to happen. And they offer fractional share trading by default. So that means you can invest with as little as $1 to start off with. So you can invest in a piece of like Amazon stock, Apple stock, or my favorites, VTI, which is the total US stock market index ETF, for as little as $1. And a lot of brokers are offering this now. I mean, just to go through a list of brokers, like there's a ton of options out there. You do like Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, Robinhood. Of course, it's all on top of Public. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. It's actually really pretty simple and straightforward once you wrap your mind around kind of how the whole process works. And that's why I'm here, to provide you some more knowledge to help people understand how to do this whole investing thing. Invest. Zach Bridges says, look at my questions. Well, look at it. Here we go. How does all the taxing work with Robinhood and investing? I want money off stocks without owing money. Yes, so this is, people always want profits. Obviously, everyone wants profits without having to pay taxes on them. But the sad truth is, if you're just investing in a regular taxable brokerage account like Robinhood offers, if you buy a stock and then later you sell that stock for more than you bought it for, you will be taxed on it. It doesn't matter what you do with the proceeds. It doesn't matter if you were going to invest this money, if you gave it to your grandma, if you withdrew it and used it for yourself. You're always going to be taxed on this money. Now, the case when this isn't true in a brokerage account is if you hold these stocks for over 1 year, so they'll be subject to what are called long-term capital gains tax rates. And if you make a low enough income to qualify for the 0% long-term gains tax rate, which I think is around $40,000. So if you make under $40,000, you should be fine, not owing any tax on gains as long as you've held that stock for over 1 year. That's the important thing to remember. Hold the stocks long term. That's why I preach long-term investing, because that's how you avoid taxes. But otherwise, if you sell stocks within a year of owning them for a gain, then it will be taxed at whatever your ordinary income is taxed at. But a way to avoid taxes on all stock sales is to open what's called an IRA, or an individual retirement account. Now, to contribute to these, you need to have earned income. So if you don't have a job, if you don't have any source of income outside of, parents' gifts, then no, you're not going to be able to contribute to them. But any stock transactions, any dividends, anything like that happens within an IRA, whether it's a Roth or a traditional, they're not taxed. So that's another great feature of IRAs. It's tax-free growth. But yeah, otherwise, if you're trading on Robinhood, you're probably getting taxed pretty heavily. Rice Gobbler, thanks for coming back to the live stream. Big, consistent commenter on here. S&P 500 is so close to all-time highs, it makes me not want to buy it, yet it keeps going up. Ugh, where's the pullback? As another commenter answered on here, we don't know. We simply have no idea when the next pullback is going to be, if there is ever going to be a next pullback. There's no guarantee that's going to happen either, but obviously there probably will be one eventually. But will the S&P continue to rise? Like let's say the S&P is here today at current near-time all-time highs, and it keeps going up. And in 10 years, it has a correction. It has a pullback, but it's still up here, far higher than where you bought it at today. Then you could have lost out on all those gains along the way. And that's essentially why I say, like, hey, just invest consistently. Don't worry about what stock prices are doing. I don't care if they're high. I don't care if they're low. Just keep investing no matter the market conditions, because we're investing in the S&P 500, which is almost guaranteed to increase in value over time, like over the long run, over the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's almost certainly going to be worth more than it is today. So we don't care if we're buying at kind of highs today, because we're going to be investing every month. So if a pullback does happen in the short term, then we're going to be in position to benefit from that, because we're still going to be buying at the lows. But if it continues to go up higher, then we're still going to benefit from that, because we invested today when it was lower, and in 10 months if it's higher, then we're still going to be benefiting from that. This falls into the category of timing the market, and that's one of the most, or what you're saying is like you're being skittish. You're like, hey, it's near all-time highs right now. Should I invest? That falls in the category of timing the market. And timing the market is one of the most guaranteed ways to help you lose money in the stock market, because simply nobody has any idea what's going to happen. There's all these financial news articles. I'm sure if you guys have ever been on Yahoo Finance or basically any, I'm sure it's spread over all social media right now. There's always going to be articles that are saying like, hey, this expert predicted the last 3 recessions and he is saying one's going to happen next month. That is all complete BS, because these kind of articles are released every single month. And if you haven't noticed, the stock market has continued to go up basically every single month, except for the obviously the COVID crash. But every month since then, it's basically continued to go up, despite the wise words of these experts who basically bat 2% in the whole hitting category of predicting these stock market crashes. So I'd say, hey, ignore all the outside noise, ignore whatever the current stock prices are, just keep investing consistently, and that's how you're going to win over the long run. Crispy89 says, on a standard brokerage, I'm taxed once I sell an investment, correct? Yeah. So standard brokerage accounts, like I mentioned in the previous questions, There's basically no way to avoid taxes here with them. As soon as you sell a stock for more than you bought it for, so you sold it for a gain, it's going to get taxed unless you do fall into that 0% long-term capital gains tax rate bracket, which is only available if you're a lower income earner. So, I mean, if you're in that income category, then hey, yeah, you're going to avoid taxes. But if not, then you're probably going to pay taxes on basically everything you sell as long as they made some money. Ray Scholar says, hey, Dad. Hey, how's it going, son? Finance at home. Hey, welcome to the stream. Hope your 65 went well. You think it's beneficial to hold a real estate license even if you don't want to be an agent? Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's great to know how everything works. There's definitely no downside to it other than it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of probably money to take these exams, study for the exams, etc. But hey, like I said, you're going to know a lot more, so you're going to be a lot more valuable. You're going to be a lot more of a valuable source of knowledge, whether you're trying to be a financial advisor full time in the future, whether you just want to, hey, see where this TikTok thing goes, you're definitely going to know a lot more. But if you're just looking to buy a place, like you just want to know this information because you want to buy your own home, then I wouldn't say it's probably that worth it, because you can use real estate agents. And real estate agents, a lot of people don't know this, they're actually free for the buyer. The seller pays their fees. The seller pays their 3% or 2% fees, whatever they charge. Although this is negotiable, so I mean, it depends on who your seller is. Sometimes they ask for the buyer to make those concessions, but it's standard practice for the seller of the home to pay for all real estate agent fees. So if you're just buying a home like I'm trying to do right now, my real estate agent is completely free. He works for me for free because whenever we do close on a home, which hopefully is going to happen, the seller is going to pay his fee for me. So if you're looking to buy a home, you probably don't need it. But if you're just looking to expand your knowledge base, if you're willing to put in an extra time, extra effort, probably the extra money needed to do it, and maybe you're looking to become a financial advisor, I mean, hey, no one will look down on an advisor that has a real estate license. I mean, it's not going to be anything but a positive. But yeah, there's no right answer to this, but it wouldn't be a bad thing to look into. I'm John Hoy. Yes, I'm almost done with high school. What do you recommend? Well, I'd say you're probably 18. So I would say, hey, first of all, make sure you have a bank account open. That's step number one. If you have a bank account, you should have a debit card associated with that. But I'd say, hey, don't use your debit card, because I would also recommend that you open up a credit card. And since you are probably only 18, you probably have zero credit history at this point in time. So I would say, hey, open up a beginner credit card. And basically what these are secured credit cards. And what these are credit cards that are offered by places like Discover, Capital One, JP Morgan Chase, basically any big credit card provider. And they say like, hey, give us $200 and we'll give you this credit card, which will have the same limit as the cash that you gave us. So if I gave them $200, they give me a credit card with the $200 spending limit on it. And this is basically just covers their butt, that covers their tails, because even if you do spend this $200 and you don't pay them back, they still have your $200, so they're not going to lose anything. But eventually, once your credit score gets built up high enough, you can get this $200 back. Especially, if you close your account in good standing, you get this $200 back. Or if your credit score increases enough over the following couple months where you have this credit card, then you'll get this deposit back. But yeah, use this credit card to pay for basically all of your expenses. Try to keep your balance below 30% of your limit. So just keep numbers simple. If you had a $100 limit, once your credit card balance reaches $30. Pay it off instantly, and as long as your credit utilization, this is called, stays below 30%, then your credit score is going to go nowhere but up, and eventually you can qualify for a lot better credit cards that actually have cashback rewards, that have offered discounts at certain stores. If you're going to college, you can qualify for student loans with lower interest rates. You're a lot more likely to be accepted by landlords as a renter. And then eventually, when you're looking to buy a house one day, your credit score is going to be phenomenal, and then your mortgage is probably going to be you're going to get a lot better rate than a lot of people, and you're probably going to save like tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your mortgage. So yeah, it's definitely worth building your credit score. And outside of that, so get a bank account if you don't have one, open a credit card, open both a brokerage account and a Roth IRA. For a brokerage, if you're opening your first one, I'd say, hey, go with Public, link in my bio. They're the purveyors of this fine hat that I'm wearing right now. So they know what they're talking about. They're a very beginner-friendly way to start investing. You can start investing with as little as $1. You can really learn the ropes of safe long-term investing, and open a Roth IRA with somewhere like Fidelity or Schwab or with Vanguard. Though with Vanguard, they do require a $3,000 minimum investment on a lot of things, so that's not the best way to go for a lot of people. But yeah, so open a brokerage account with Public, link in my bio, open a Roth IRA with Fidelity or Schwab, maybe Vanguard. Yeah, you should have a pretty good financial tool set at your fingertips then. And then now really the only thing left is figure out how to earn money. Or you could be going to college, and if you're doing that, I would encourage you to try to find a degree that intersects that is at the intersection of things you're passionate about and things that earn decent money. Because there's a lot of people that either focus on just doing things they're passionate about, which is awesome, but then they graduate and they're like, hey, my geology degree was fun to get, but there's not a lot of job prospects out here for me. Or they're like, hey, this whole this aerospace engineering degree was awesome to get, but I absolutely hate my job. So make sure you find a happy medium between the two. Just so you're not ending up wasting a bunch of money on a college degree, because those things are definitely expensive. But yeah, that's about it for what you should do at 18. Let's see what other questions we got here. DeSmile 0507 says, hey, DeSmile, thanks for hopping on here. Load, darn it. If you guys have any questions, please answer them here while I'm waiting for this whole thing to load. And here we go. We have this thing loaded up here. So let me scroll back up. Nima is back in here. So, hey, everyone shout out Nima Yamini, the GOAT, the Wolf of Wall Street himself. Oh, my ring light thing fell. There we go. It blinded me for a second. Okay. Yeah, Seals McGee, too much competition on the MLS. Yeah, if you're buying a house to live in, use an agent. If it's for investment, look off the market. Yeah, honestly, the only houses I've claimed close to closing on so far were off-market deals that my agent has provided to me. But even then, these sellers are getting cocky because of the market that we're in. They're like, oh yeah, no, I think I can get $200,000 more than what you're offering me on the open market. Or I'm just going to refinance now because rates are so low. Yeah. So even on off-market deals, it's hard to find anything. But yeah, the MLS is like swimming with sharks right now. Every time something is listed, tours get booked up so fast. And at least in my market, like if you don't have a tour booked within the first 2 days of something being on the market, publicly listed on the MLS, it's you're just not gonna be able to put an offer on it because they usually like tour for 2 days and they already have 20 something offers on the place. So they're like, hey, yeah, we'll just review these offers. Why would we accept any more tours? So yeah, buying a place right now is very, very difficult, but hey, there's always going to be investments available on the market. So hey, might as well check, because real estate definitely is an asset class that's always going to hold some value. Mohammed for Life asks, do I invest in cryptocurrency? If yes, what do you recommend me to buy as a beginner? Yes, so I have invested in cryptocurrency in the past, and I've decided to get off of that train. Back after the big Bitcoin price run up of 2017, after it fell, I decided to put like $1,000 into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I also was like, hey, I'll diversify this among a bunch of different other altcoins and just to see what happens. Long story short, even though I bought at the lows at the time, after Bitcoin had already fallen, I was like, hey, there's no way it's not going to go back up to like 20K and maybe get up to, who knows, 60K like it's at today. I was like, hey, it's going to be easy money. I'm going to make a quick return on this $1,000. It's going to be nothing. And yeah, as soon as I put that $1,000 in there, guess what happened? It just kept going down. Fast forward 2 years. I only started to break even this past fall. So even then, back then I was like, man, all right, I'm just going to sell, get out of here, lick my wounds, and just put this money back into something that's actually like guaranteed to basically increase in value over the long term, which is stocks, which is the entire U.S. stock market. Because, I mean, hey, there's legitimate companies, legitimate cash flows underneath the valuation of stocks. And with Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other different altcoins especially, the only thing that's really giving them value, it's like, yeah, blockchain technology is cool, but how many cryptocurrency tokens are actually going to hold value over the long run? What if they fall out of favor with investors? What if the federal government sees them as a threat and bans them, which has already happened in India, so it could definitely happen here. Yeah, cryptocurrency is a very volatile asset class, and unlike stocks, you don't get any dividends for holding them. So, I mean, yeah, I've heard my story about buying an individual stock before. Yeah, it went down in value for a year or two, but it still had a strong dividend yield, so I was still getting paid for holding the stock. With cryptocurrency, you pay fees, you pay a lot of fees to get invested into these things, and then there's absolutely zero dividends associated with them. And a side effect of investing in cryptocurrencies is they trade around the clock, which can get people really sucked into just basically watching stock prices all day, or not stock prices, crypto prices all day, which can hurt your productivity and just basically hurt your overall quality of life, but we'll set that aside. Basically, that's a big long rant, kind of got off track here, but I would say if you're going to invest in crypto, stick with one of the big dogs. Do either Bitcoin or Ethereum or a combination of both. And don't invest more than 5 to 10% of your portfolio into them because they are so volatile and because there's no guarantee they're going to go up in price. This is a fault that a lot of people have. They invest into things like cryptocurrency with the expectation that they're going to make money on them. And this is like buying a stock that's worth 3 cents and expecting that's going to go up. There's probably a reason the stock's worth 3 cents, but that's beside the point. You're investing in an asset class that is extremely volatile. I was going to say valuable, but it's also pretty valuable, but it's extremely volatile. So basically, you're investing in a roller coaster ride of emotions, and you have no idea where these things are going to go, whether they're actually going to be around in 5-10 years, whether they're going to be worth more in 5-10 years than they are today. So yeah, I'd say, hey, or invest at most 5 to 10% of your portfolio into them. Stick with the big dogs, Bitcoin, Ethereum. And hey, invest the rest of your investable cash into things like VTI, ITOT, SCHB, total U.S. stock market index ETFs that have been shown to appreciate 10% plus every single year, and who are, unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, I can say with a high degree of certainty, they're going to be around in 10, 20, 30 years. And it's going to be very hard to lose money on those things if you leave them invested. Dualvano asks, if I lose $2,000 trading stocks and then make $2,000 back, will I be taxed at all? No, as long as you can always use stock market losses to offset stock market gains. So yeah, in this scenario, you'd be breaking even, so you'd have a $0 taxable gain, so you wouldn't be taxed on it at all. So that's the one upside to losing money in the stock market. But this whole thing where like people who are day trading lose $2,000, make $2,000. And essentially break even. This is very common, and you have to basically, if this happens to you, you have to take a look in the mirror and be like, hey, is this whole day trading thing makes sense? Like, if I spend 3 hours a day at minimum day trading stocks, and I basically just break even, so I don't end up with any more money than I started with, but I'm putting in all this effort into it, is this really worth my time? And the answer, almost every time, is no, because day traders have been shown to lose money consistently, and not even to mention outperform a passive index investment like VTI. They don't even come close to sniffing that. Day trading is a losing game, so if you are into day trading, I would recommend you stay away from it. Nick the Goat says, Jack, hey, welcome back, Jack. Z-Ville says, I'll start soon. Next video is going to help me a little bit. Yes, sir. Seals McGee asks, so if hedge funds consistently underperform, why do they keep doing it? Yeah, so it's basically the same reason why people invest in mutual funds. Hedge funds, they don't perform every single time, like every single year. There are certain years, there may be 1-2 year periods where they have great years, where they outperform the market by a decent amount. And then they use these 1 years of success to basically sell their investors on all of their future years, which does not end up well. And let's see, I'm going to collect my thoughts here real quick. Basically, hedge funds are only available to accredited investors and big institutional investors like pension funds. And a big reason that hedge funds exist is for pension funds to invest in. And basically through the eyes of these pension funds, investing in hedge funds with different, not necessarily asset class, they're not necessarily invested into asset classes that are correlated with the stock market. So, I mean, that's part of the name, hedge funds. A big institutional funds like pension funds, they hedge their investments by investing a portion of their big institutional pension fund into hedge funds. So essentially, if the market goes down, their index investments go down, they're hoping the hedge funds will still provide some value there and keep their balance is high, so they can still meet their pension payout obligations. So that's a big reason of why why hedge funds are still around. But yeah, there's a lot of other ones that are basically sold on the success of these hotshot individual hedge fund managers, and then basically they sell these to big egotistical like multimillionaires who are like, hey, yeah, I'm a big important guy. I'm going to invest in this hedge fund. I'm going to invest in Blackwater hedge fund. I'm going to invest in Ray Dalio's my guy. I'm going to invest in his fund. Yeah, they consistently underperform, and a big part of this is due to their fees. Hedge funds charge what are called a 2 and 20 fee. So they charge 2% of all of your holdings, basically the cumulative value of your holdings, as a fee every year, which is very big by itself. But the 20 part of it is even bigger because they charge you 20% of your total gains as a fee on top of this. So, I mean, a big reason hedge funds do underperform is because of their astronomical fees. And simply put, just like the mutual fund industry, just like basically every other part of the investing industry, they make these fees as opaque as possible. They make it hard to see how much these fees are actually affecting your performance. So, I mean, a lot of people, they're like, hey, we invested in hedge funds. They're not very liquid. You can usually only liquidate your investments once per quarter. So you can only basically withdraw your funds 4 times a year. They're like, hey, I mean, yeah, it looks like the fund's doing well. They have a lot of fancy marketing material. I like their long-term view of things. So yeah, I'll throw my money in here, and it's something I can talk about at the cocktail party with all my rich friends. Like, yeah, you see this new hedge fund investment I'm in? And basically, the ones that do have some success, they stay open, and when they start not experiencing as much success, they fold those funds and open a different one, so they have a brand new starting slate, and they basically sell new investors on their past success. So yeah, hedge funds, not a great investment. I do have a personal experience with them, not myself, but with clients through our firms, or through the firm I work for at my day job. But if you don't know, I work with multimillionaires. Basically, I'm a financial and tax advisor to multimillionaires, and the basically downsides of hedge funds and private equity offerings and different things that are reported on K1s, if you're familiar with those, become very apparent when you're preparing taxes for these people. They're always like, hey, we contributed another $40,000 to the fund this year. We got a net return of negative $20,000. But yeah, we're going to keep investing money because, we see the long-term value of this fund. And every time we ask clients, like, hey, how's the hedge fund doing? They're like, it's kind of hard to value right now. They're going to get us a valuation at the end of the year. Hopefully it's going to go up. Then it doesn't go up, but they've already given them more money that year, so they're basically locked into a cycle, and it's not something you want to put your money into because it's not going to outperform even the simplest of index investments. JX, man, you gotta work on your name. JX IENR says, hold the VTI line. Yes, hold the line on index investments. Hold. Love that. Dual Vano. Oh, that's a question that I already answered. Jack S. Jack responded to a different question. Says best options to buy and hold VTI. Yes, Jack has been listening. Appreciate you, Jack. And then, hey, Jack also says you can invest with any amount of money on Public, which is linked in my bio. Yes, Jack, thank you for spreading the good word. Yeah, Public offers fractional share trading, which is becoming more and more popular among investing platforms. I know Robinhood also offers it. Fidelity has just started offering it, though it's definitely not as easy to use. And I'm sure a lot of other big brokers are offering it because, hey, it's how investing should be operated. Because in the past, I mean, even last year, I mean, basically, if you wanted to invest into a share of VTI, I forget what it's at, but I think it's like $200-something. New investors see this and like, oh no, that's way too expensive for me. I don't want to invest in something like that. But now, fractional share trading makes investing a lot more accessible to basically everybody because as long as you have $1, you can invest in a slice of VTI. So if VTI increases by 10%, your $1 is going to increase by 10%. Obviously, if you don't invest that much money, the 10% is not going to be very much, but it really helps you learn the ropes of investing without really risking any money at all. So again, if you want to try that out, link in my bio, Public, you get a free slice of stock. It's like $10 or $20, and you can really give this whole fractional share trading thing a try. Let's see. Rice Gobbler asks, Biden about to change that long-term tax idea. Yes, so the whole Biden tax rate change thing only affects, so for those of you who don't know, the proposal by Biden's administration is to implement an increased capital gains tax rate. I think the top rate now will be 39.3%. So basically, it's the exact same as short-term gains rates. But the thing is, this would only affect people who make over $1 million in a year. So only affect the very, 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 very high earners. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of disincentivizing investment and everything that goes along with that. But in reality, this Biden's whole tax plan won't affect 99.5% of Americans, if not 99.9% of Americans, because simply put, most people don't make over $1 million in a year. And those that do will probably be smart enough just to ride it out and to hold their investments, either hold their investments or sell them out this year if they wanted to harvest any gains. But yeah, most people who do make that much money realize the value in holding for the long term. So they're probably thinking like, hey, Biden's probably going to be in office through either 2024 or 2028, and then afterwards, maybe there's going to be a Republican president. If there is a Republican president, they're definitely going to repeal this. So it's not like it's going to be a permanent change in the tax code, but yeah, it's only something to worry about if you make a ton of money, thankfully. And I don't think a lot of us are there yet. Maybe one day, but a lot of us aren't there yet, so it's not something we have to worry about. And there's Zville. That's the answer. That's a question Jack answered. I don't know anything about stocks. Where can I start buying? That's where he said public. Link in my bio. Get a free slice of stock and invest in anything as little as $1. Jesus Seha 43 asks, what are your thoughts on meme stocks? My thoughts are, I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. No, I would not get close to them at all because, like I said, they're meme stocks. They're super irrational. It's like investing into something like Dogecoin. You just simply have no idea what the stock price is going to do on a day-to-day basis, and that's not good for your blood pressure or for your gains, for your wallet. Investing into stocks like this, you're probably going to end up investing late when there's a bell curve for people who invest in meme stocks. Either you get in early and you actually get to reap the benefits of them, but that's probably not you if you've heard about the stock, or you get in near the top of the bell curve when prices are at their all-time highs, and that's exactly when the early people are going to start selling to reap their gains, to realize their gains, and then the stock price is going to fall, and you're going to end up holding a big loss in your hands. So yeah, I'd say, hey, stay away from meme stocks. You don't make quick money in the stock market consistently. So, even if, your friend managed to do it with GameStop, there's no way they're going to end up doing that twice in a row, 3 times in a row, etc. They're going to end up losing a lot of money before they ever run across something like that again. So, hey, you might as well play the odds, invest into something safe, long-term, passively managed, like a big broad-based index fund like VTI, ITOD, or SCHB. He says, I'm no stock market genius, but if you want to get into the stock market, I highly suggest the Stock Simulator. Yeah. I used Investopedia's stock simulator. It was fantastic back in the day before I actually got into the stock market game as myself, because I wanted to see basically how things worked, and it is a great way just to really go in there and see how the whole buying and selling, transacting thing works out, basically how the whole process works. And it's a great way to learn the ropes for free without risking anything. So yeah, I'd say, hey, there's probably a ton of stock simulators out there in the market today. I use Investopedia's. I'm not affiliated with them at all, so I don't care if you use them or not. But just Google stock simulator. You'll probably find something interesting, and it'll give you a lot of confidence and make you realize, like, hey, this whole investing thing is actually pretty easy. Quick Pike Kale asks, how early can you get a credit card? So if you have a parent that has a good credit score, you can get a credit card basically as early as you want. You can get a credit card when you're 1 month old. And to do this, you have to get added as an authorized user on your parent's credit card. So I'd say, hey, if your parent has a good credit score, if they make their monthly payments on time every month, they pay off their balance in full every month, that means they probably have a good credit score, and that means they're going to make you have a good credit score if you get added as an authorized user on their credit card account. And what this means is, you basically get added, your name gets added to their credit card account, and as long as they make their monthly payments on time, as long as they pay off their entire balance on time every month, your credit score is going to go up, and you're going to benefit from that. You don't have to do anything. You can get issued a credit card that's tied to this account, or you cannot. I guess that part really depends on your parents and their individual preferences and how much they trust you with the credit card. But yeah, your individual actions don't really cause don't really make a difference here. As long as your parent pays it off on time, then that's a good thing to do. But otherwise, to get a credit card in your own name, you do have to be 18 in the U.S. at least. And if you are going that route, hey, look out try to get a secured credit card. These are basically the only credit cards available to people without credit histories, with no credit scores. If you apply to anything else, you're going to get denied. If you apply to anything that has rewards, you're going to be denied if you don't have a credit score already. So yeah, either get added as an authorized user if you're under 18 on your parents' credit card, along with if they do have good credit scores. Make sure it's a big requirement on there, so make sure they have good credit scores. But if you're 18 plus, get a secured credit card. Let's see what other questions we got here. Getting close to wrapping up. Load! Okay. Lots of questions here. Let me scroll back up here. Oh, we got a lot of questions. Oh my gosh. Let me get up here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I can't actually load all the questions, so I'm sorry if I missed out on yours. You guys posted a lot. The Mechagodzilla Kevin asks, is it political for Godzilla to exist? I don't know. It's definitely economical because it's making a killing at the box office, so I've heard. Justin Thomas, welcome back to the stream. Says, evening to all. Listen to Nick. He knows. Appreciate Justin. Justin knows as well. Second account, 173, asks, will I get a good amount of money if I start making anime? Yeah, I mean, hey, if you provide something valuable that people are willing to pay for or that gets a lot of attention, then you can monetize that for sure. I mean, it will be really hard to stand out in the space, but hey, if you're good at it, if you keep improving your craft consistently, yeah. I mean, the people who are working in anime today are people who are really passionate about it and who probably really started doing it without getting paid back in their teens. So, I mean, hey, if you want to start on that path, go for it. There's only one way to get better at something, and that's by doing it. iPod Touches asks, where can I buy index funds? Basically on any major broker. So we're talking like Public. You can sign up through a link in my bio, invest in index funds or as little as $1. Or any other major broker like Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, even Robinhood, as much as people like to hate on them. You can still buy index funds on there. And yeah, I mean, open up either a brokerage account or an IRA, preferably a Roth IRA, and you can invest in index funds very easily. I mean, I like index ETFs like VTI, ITOT, SCHB that invest in the entire U.S. stock market, but hey, you can find a multitude of different index funds on there. I know Vanguard's VTSAX is great. And I think VFIAX is also really good. They do charge, same fees as index ETFs, 0.03%. But my only qualms with those Vanguard funds is they do require an upfront investment of $3,000, and a lot of people just simply can't swing that right away, which is why I like investing into VTI and ITOT and SCHB, because they have the same investment portfolio, they have the same fees, but you need as little as $1 to invest in them if you go through somewhere like Public. Brutus Dawn 4 asks, I'm 18, working 40 hours, and getting $14.50. How do I save? Yes, so I'm assuming you're still living with your parents, so you probably don't have a lot of essential expenses you need to save for. So I would say, hey, set aside a certain percentage of this for like fun money, for stuff, for having fun. I mean, you're working, you're still young, you're probably doing a lot of fun activities. So I mean, hey, set aside some fun money. You're working for it, you've earned it. Say like 20-30% of whatever you take home. Maybe more, maybe less, depends on your personal spending. And then set aside some more of that if you have any upcoming expenses, like say like, hey, you want to save for college, you want to have spending money for college, etc. Put aside a little bit of this into what's called like a high yield savings account or a money market fund, just to make sure this is getting a little bit of interest on it, but want to make sure that it's held in a stable investment so you're not going to lose money when you need it. And I forgot to mention your fund money, keep that in your checking account. Savings, keep that in a high yield savings account. Don't use the standard bank savings account. They're going to cost you money because of inflation. And if you have any cash left over that you're willing to just basically throw over the time horizon, let's say you won't need this money for 5-10 years, invest that through either a brokerage account or a Roth IRA. I'd recommend a Roth IRA because you are working, so you do have earned income, so you are eligible to contribute to it. And what this is a tax advantage savings account, or tax advantage retirement account, I should say, that lets you invest for the long term into basically any sort of stock, index fund, ETF, bonds, certificates of deposit if you want to get a fixed income, which I wouldn't recommend. And I'd say, hey, invest whatever this is into big, broad-based, low-fee, passively managed index ETFs like VTI, ITOT, SCHB, and just let it ride. What are taxes? Asked Strawberry Snowflake. That is theft. No, taxes are basically the the price you pay for living in a state controlled by a government. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things that come out of taxes. I mean, public infrastructure. It's nice having roads. It's nice having parks. It's nice having government sometimes. And there's a cost to all of that, and that cost is paid via taxes. What does a 9-to-5 job mean? Asks My Life 1155. It means you are basically working a standard job that you get in there at 9 a.m., you clock out by 5 p.m., and basically when people say like, oh, I work in the 9 to 5, it's basically painting the picture of a bland, corporate-like office environment where, hey, you go drive to work, commute to work, go sit in a cubicle for 8-9 hours a day, and then drive back home and aren't really fulfilled with your life. And that's the negative connotation that 9-to-5 jobs really bring with them, because, I mean, hey, you're not working for yourself, so you're probably not doing something that you're super passionate about. It's going to be kind of a grind, going to be kind of boring, might not pay you enough, and yeah, that's basically the connotation that 9-to-5 means. Monster Energy Gun 10, I love that name. Asks, what's better, a debit card or a credit card? Yeah, I would recommend credit cards 9 times out of 10. The only time I wouldn't recommend them is if you know you have spending problems. If you know if you get a credit card with a high spending limit, you're going to constantly max that out and not be able to afford to pay that off in the end. But as long as you are responsible with your money, which, hey, you're following Nick Talks Money, you're on a Nick Talks Money live stream, I'm assuming you're probably at least skewed towards being more responsible with your money. I'd say the best option available for you that makes the most financial sense is to use a credit card, because by using a credit card, you can build what is called a credit history and build a credit score. And the longer your credit history, the better your credit score, the higher your credit score is, the cheaper things like loans will be, things like mortgages will be, things like even like cell phone plans, like insurance will be, and the better credit cards that you can access to that give you more cash back rewards, that give you more discounts to places. And basically there's no downside to using credit cards as long as you pay them off in full every month. So if you are confident in your ability to pay them off in full every month and confident that the higher spending limits they give you won't cause you to overspend, then yeah, credit cards are definitely the right choice for you over debit cards. Let's see what else we got. Am down bad for Riaz. Asks, can I invest at 12 years old? You can, but you do need your parent to co-sign on what's called a custodial brokerage account. You probably can't open a custodial Roth IRA because you don't have any earned income. So yeah, just open up a custodial brokerage account and start investing into broad-based index ETFs. And yeah, how you do this is Google one of the big brokers' names, so like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab, followed by open custodial brokerage account. It's that easy. So like Fidelity, open custodial brokerage account, and basically have your parent fill out all their info, all your info, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to start investing. And by the time you're 18, either 18 to 22, depending on the state you live in, this account will be transferred full ownership, 100% ownership over to you, and you can basically do whatever you want with it then. Peachy asked, am I reading the chat? Yeah, I am. I'm just a little behind because I take like 10 minutes to answer a question, and then in that time you guys ask like 10 more, or not 10 more, like 100 more questions, so I'm a little behind, but I'm trying to get to everyone here. Blair Lee asked, do you think SafeMoon will be good to buy? No, I think it's a complete scam, even more so than things like Dogecoin, because at least Dogecoin was made to be a meme. SafeMoon was made to be a scam. I saw my good friend Nima, I'm pretty sure his video said that the SafeMoon founder owns more than 50% of all SafeMoon tokens, and there are 0 trading restrictions on those, so he or she could literally sell them whenever they want, and obviously you can imagine if they sell a large chunk of their shares, the share price is going to plummet. And just take a second to think about the name SafeMoon. It was literally made to it was designed to make you feel like it's a safe investment. I mean, the word safe is in there, so like, oh, that's a trustworthy investment. That's awesome. And then moon, to make it memeable, to the moon. Like, literally, it's, you're like, hey, this is a safe investment that's going to go to the moon. Like, that's a complete scam. I would recommend staying away from it. Any money that you put into there is at humongous risk to be lost. So I would not do that personally. M Down Bad Farias asks, is real estate a good job? Yeah, it definitely can be, especially in markets like this where houses are going like that. But yeah, it takes a lot of work. If you want to work in real estate, you have to be willing to work around the clock. You have to be willing to work super long weeks for no guarantee of compensation. Because if you're a real estate agent, your only form of compensation is you only get paid when you sell a house or when your client buys a house. You could be talking about other areas of real estate like flipping, house hacking, Airbnb, and all those have different hustles. But yeah, real estate takes a lot of work no matter what area you're in, and there's no guaranteed return. But hey, the upside is tremendous. So yeah, real estate can definitely be a good thing if you have a lot of hustle and you're willing to learn. Not Zach for 2069. Nice choice of numbers there. Ask, it's my first time. I like your live streams. Do you have a schedule? So I try to go live every weekday around this time. So around 6 p.m. Central. Probably go for around half an hour to an hour every time. So around 7 p.m. Central. But hey, if you want access to my entire library of saved live streams, I post those on my Patreon page for the second tier. So if that's something you're interested in going back and listening through, go ahead and check it out. What are stocks and how do you invest? A website? Asks FFPG. Yeah, so I'll keep this pretty simple and quick because I know you guys are asking, like, hey, am I seeing your comments? Like, can you answer my questions? So I'll try to keep it quick so I actually get down to the new ones. So stocks are essentially, by buying a single share of stock, you're buying a small piece of ownership in a publicly traded company. So if the company does well and hits their targets and keeps earning more cash, then the stock price is going to go up. And if the company underperforms, if competitors are pushing it out of the market, if bad news comes out about a company, the stock price is going to go down. So how do you invest in these is you invest through what are called brokers. So big brokers are like Public, Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. If you want to start investing with as little as $1, I'd say go invest with Public. They make it super easy for beginners. They give you a free slice of stock if you sign up through the link in my bio. But yeah, it's pretty easy when you get the hang of things. Yeah, the stocks are individual ownership shares of the company, and how you invest is through a broker. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to the most recent comments so we can actually get some recent ones in here before we... Yeah, Jack, Nick, you got to answer the questions a lot faster. I know, my man, I'm trying. I have to split the need between answering questions fully and answering questions quickly. I'll go from the bottom up here so we can get a couple of your guys' recent questions answered before we get out of here. Is it possible for Godzilla to exist? Yeah, if we make a robot version of him, and who knows where the field of science is going to go from here on out. And it's just here 14 asks, what's the most recommended starting jobs? I mean, like I was saying earlier, find something at the intersection of what you're passionate about and things that pay well. And I mean, like I said earlier, there's people that go just for jobs they're passionate about and end up not making any money. And there's people that go for jobs that just end up paying them well and end up hating their lives. So find something that's ideally a happy medium, but obviously these jobs are a lot harder to come by because a lot of people want them. But hey, I mean, find a niche that you're interested in and work as hard as possible to do as well as possible in it. Sorry, I can't get a little more specific in there. I mean, hey, being a financial advisor is great. If you're interested in that, look at it more further. What is my honest opinion of AMC? Ask Jake 2929291. My honest opinion is that it's a meme stock, and I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Meme stocks like AMC, GameStop, you can lump in Dogecoin with them too. There's not a lot of underlying value there in the business, in the cash flows, in the company that you're actually investing in. Really, all you're investing in is the hope that one day the big retail investor wave will once again wash over AMC and push stock prices up high enough for you to justify selling it. And that's not something I want to base my investments on. I'm not, honestly, just as far as like AMC's business prospects are concerned, man, I don't know how much, if at all, we're going to go back to the traditional theater viewing experience once COVID ends, and how profitable that industry is going to be. So, I mean, just based on that industry, based on the whole meme stock wave that you're betting on, I'm not confident that AMC is going to outperform the stock market as a whole over the long run. So for that reason, I like to stay away from it. Hey, says Brooke is trans. Hey, welcome to the stream here. Let's see. Hi, Nick, says Rushan. Hey, Rushan, welcome back. Brooke is trans. I'm getting my learners next year. Any tips or things I should know? Not exactly sure what a learners is. If you could elaborate a little bit more, that'd be helpful. Hello, says Motomoki. Hello, back. Oh, I just burped while I was talking. That's awesome. Rushan4444 asks, do you think crypto is a good way to protect your assets in case the dollar or any currencies fail? I mean, yeah, it is a way to diversify your assets in case the apocalypse scenario happens where, like, hey, Bitcoin takes over, Ethereum takes over, etc. But I still wouldn't recommend investing more than 5-10% of your portfolio into them because they are super volatile asset classes. They just aren't guaranteed to hold value over the long term. And hey, if the dollar devalues, that doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, companies are going to lose their value. They're going to switch to a different currency and they're still going to continue to produce value. So they're still going to continue to retain value. So, I mean, hey, along with crypto being a good way to diversify yourself away from the US dollar failing, you could also invest into stocks and invest into real estate and invest into, I think that's all I was going to say, but yes, invest into basically different asset classes outside of holding your money in cash and you should be fine. Davis Joe 76 says, show me how to do tax for the future. Yeah, sure. What questions do you have? Queen Gemma Rose asks, how do you do taxes? I actually have a post about this coming up here soon. It is sponsored by TurboTax, but hey, yeah, I mean, use something like TurboTax to file your taxes pretty easily. I mean, hey, if you're younger, you're probably only going to have like a W-2, maybe a little bit of investment income. Do some Googling, ask Google, like, am I required to file tax returns this year? See if you reach the income thresholds. If you don't reach the income thresholds, then you don't need to file. But if you worked the job and you had federal income withheld, or even state income withheld, if you file your tax return, you'll get a refund from that if you don't owe any money. So yeah, it's probably worth doing. And I would say, hey, look up TurboTax or one of the other free tax providers. What are my thoughts on QQQ and VTI? So absolutely love VTI, very heavily invested in them. Love how diversified they are, love how low fee they are. For QQQ, their fees are a little bit higher than I'd like. If I remember right, they're like around 0.2%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot higher than VTI at 0.03%, by a magnitude of, what is that, like about seven times the fees of VTI, which over the long run could negatively impact your gains quite a bit. And the other thing about QQQ is they tend to invest very heavily in the tech sector, which, is great. I mean, if you're going to invest in one sector, it's probably going to be tech. But there's things like big tech regulation and different competitors entering the market and maybe monopolization that concerns that are going to arise in the future that may disrupt tech's returns and may cause tech as a sector to underperform the market as a whole. So that's the risk you take when you invest into a sector-specific ETF like QQQ. So for that reason, I stay away from it. Seals McGee says, I need a wholesaler. I agree. My real estate agent actually does have contacts with wholesalers, and the couple properties that we've been sent by him or by the group of wholesalers aren't the best, honestly. But yeah, I mean, we're still looking. I'm definitely not just exploring things in the MLS because that is like I said, it's like jumping in the ocean in the middle of a bunch of sharks trying to get a goat carcass. You're not going to be the winner. It's a very tough environment out there. Tony Santi, yes, so I know anything about a Roth IRA? Yeah, shoot. I love covering Roths. If you have any question about them, go ahead and ask. I'm Mako VK, says I'm 14 and would like to start investing. How do I start? So since you're under the age of 18, you can't open up an account on your own, but I'm assuming you don't have a job, so you can't open up an IRA. You can open up what's called a custodial brokerage account with your parents as a cosigner. And how you do this is by Googling basically one of the big brokers' names, so like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab. followed by open custodial brokerage account. That's all you need to do. Have your parents sit there with you. They'll fill in their information and probably fill in your information as well. Connect a bank account, and boom, you can start investing. It's that easy. Okay, so we'll scroll down and get to some new messages. Going to be wrapping up here quick, so if you have anything you're dying to ask, go ahead and ask it right now. Lucci 69420, fantastic choice of numbers there again. Says, hey, so how do you pay taxes? Yes, so the U.S. makes this a lot more complicated than it needs to be because there are big lobbyists paid off by the big taxpayers like TurboTax and can't even think of other ones right now. But they basically paid the government representative saying like, hey, I know you could make taxes easy because you do already know how much I basically should be paying this year in taxes. But if I give you this amount of money, you're going to keep it complicated so people have to go through us to prepare taxes for them. Basically all you need to do is TurboTax is probably the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, the IRS does offer a free file system, which is useful if you are a lower income earner and your taxes aren't very complicated. So you just Google IRS free file. Or I just say like, hey, go through somewhere like TurboTax, or if you really just don't want to deal with it yourself, go through a local accountant or a H&R Block, something like that. There's plenty of different accountant offices out there that are ready and willing and happy to do your taxes 100% for you. And the good thing about that is, hey, if they mess up on your tax return, it's their fault. It's not your fault. You can't be held liable for a tax return that someone else prepared. So that's a that's a nice little nugget of knowledge there. Closet Weeb for Life asks, is index funds and ETFs good for beginners? Yeah, they're great for beginners and for seasoned investors like myself, and for seasoned investors like the multimillionaire clients that my firm advises on a daily basis. We recommend that everybody invest into index funds and ETFs because that's how you win. That's how you basically beat everybody else. That's how you beat stock pickers. That's how you beat day traders. That's how you beat swing traders. That's basically how you win the game of investing. So it's the easiest option essentially because all you have to do is buy and hold basically 1 or 2, 3 different funds like VTI, ITOT, SCHB, along with like VEU, VXUS, IXUS, just to get both domestic and international exposure. Basically, just make consistent monthly investments into these, and that's how you win. Whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate investor, whether you're an advanced investor, that's how you win. And then going off of that, John Tay, thanks for coming back on the live stream, asks, what do you recommend to diversify your Roth IRA/investments? I'd say, hey, the exact same thing. Investing in a broad-based, low-fee index ETFs like VTI, ITOT, SCHB. They cover the entirely U.S. traded, publicly traded stock market. So basically, by investing into one share of any of those, you're investing into 3,500 plus different publicly traded companies. So it's hard to get more diversified than that. And then on top of that, you could invest into an international ETF like VEU, IXUS, VXUS, just to get exposure to international asset classes as well. And then along with these funds, you're basically invested in the entire world stock market. So it's hard to get more diversified than that. Snoopy Cat Geo says, what's up, Nick? Thank you for teaching people and not just trying to push a paid product. Appreciate you. Yes, I'm not staying away from trying to monetize because, hey, monetization does help justify the time I put into this stuff, but I do only monetize using channels that I think will actually be beneficial to you. Like, I only work with sponsors that I think will actually be helpful to you, and I only put out content like my Patreon page or like my investing ebook or my personal budgeting spreadsheet that will actually be helpful to you. And I don't try to overly push those. I'm like, hey, if people like what I'm doing, if people trust me, if people want more from me, they know where to find it. My link in my bio is there. It says click here. So, hey, yeah, if you're interested in any more paid offerings, they're in there, but I'm not going to be overly pushy about it. Rushan 4444 asks, can an ETF like VOO keep going up forever? How is that possible? Yeah. Theoretically, at least as long as you're going to be alive, because it invests in the largest 500 companies in America. So, hey, if a company ever underperforms and drops out of the top 500 companies in America, it's going to get replaced with one that's doing well and it's on an upswing. So, yeah, theoretically, for the next 100, 200, 300 years, as long as the United States continues to exist, as long as these companies continue to exist and we aren't wiped out by aliens or by an asteroid or anything like that, global warming doesn't kill us all, it should continue to go up as long as companies keep innovating, Inflation is always going to happen, so just by inflation alone, stock prices are going to rise. And yeah, as long as companies keep innovating and the economy keeps growing, then yeah, they're going to keep going up in value. This question. Oh man. G Girls Millen asks, I'm getting a lot of people wanting me to invest in Forex. Is this legit? Not in the slightest. Forex trading is 100% a scam, at least when it's offered and pushed by people on either TikTok comments, on TikTok DMs, Instagram DMs. Anywhere DMs are sent, you can find people pushing Forex. And basically what the people are trying to do is have you pay them for a BS BS Forex trading course that you're going to pay them like $500 to teach you how to Forex trade. Sell you dreams of wealth, sell you dreams of getting rich quick, and it's 100% BS. These do not work out for anybody. The only money available in the Forex space is for these scammers who are selling you these dreams of getting rich quick and selling you these courses. And if it was actually that profitable, they wouldn't be reaching out to you and DMing you and spamming all of my comment sections saying like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I invested $500 with X so-and-so Forex Trader 95. And got $5,000 in returns. Start with him today. No, it's completely BS. Ignore everything like that. Annabella 5264 says you were on my FIP. Yeah, glad to know I made it there. Ripperino bro asks, what is the path to CFP after undergrad? Yes, great question, because a lot of undergraduate programs do not really make this clear because they want to push you into a big corporate finance or corporate accounting role, because those are the people that are giving them donations, and a lot of times like smaller financial advisory office just really aren't that involved. But yeah, to become a CFP after graduation, I mean, obviously you want to pursue the path of becoming a financial advisor. So upon graduation, I'd say, hey, I'm assuming you graduated with a degree in finance. If you're one of the lucky few that went to a college with a degree in financial planning and you got that, then you're even further along on this career track or in this career path. But I'll say like, hey, I'll assume you graduated in a career with a degree in either finance or economics, something that's pretty common in the field of financial planning. The first thing you want to do is get a job at a financial planning office. I would recommend getting a job at a smaller advisory firm. The firm I joined only had 4 people, including me, working there when I first joined on. So I got like direct client experience from basically the first month I was working there, whereas my friends that went to work for big firms, like not to hate on them, but Ameriprise, they all hated it and left as soon as they could, because they basically stick you in a call center for the first year or two before you can get licensed. And speaking of getting licensed, in order to qualify to earn the CFP designation, you have to work for 2.5 to 3 years at a related job, like being a financial advisor. So to even earn the letters, you need to have job experience. And that's not to say you don't need this job experience before you take the CFP exam. So after like the first 2 years of me working at my current firm, I signed up for the CFP exam, and it's like they recommend studying like a year for it, but I did it in like 5-ish months, which I only did because it was like during the low point in our not busy season essentially. So I had a lot of time to study for it. I studied like 3-4 hours basically every day for it. So I mean, it's not ideal to condense it that short, but it can be done. But it basically makes you go through a whole like 10-unit education component, which is essentially like taking a bunch of college classes. They give you, it's like 10 different textbooks that you have to read. And basically you get quizzed on every single chapter, and then you get tested on every single book. And you have to pass all these tests. You only get like 3 tries on each of them. I don't see that being a problem, but it is a thing. There is a performance requirement that is required to take these things. So after your big education component done, after you're done taking all those tests and you passed everything's all set in stone, then you can qualify to apply for the CFP exam, which it's like 3 hours long, I think, like 300 questions, and it's all multiple choice, thankfully, but it is a heck of an exam. They definitely test your knowledge. If anyone has CFP after the name, they definitely know their stuff, because you had to learn everything. And also, it's important to note that if you're looking for a firm to join, like if you're looking for a financial advisory office to join, when you're interviewing with them, it's important to ask them like, hey, would you cover the expenses of me getting certifications, like the CFP? Because most of them do, but some of them don't. And if you get stuck with one that don't, you're gonna have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket for the CFP exam, because The educational component itself, I think, costs like $5,000. Just to take the exam, I think it costs like $500 to like put your application in after you've already had everything. Like just basically like saying like, hey, I passed the exam. I've got my work experience done. Educational components all done. Can I use CFP for my name? I think it's another couple $100 to apply for that. So yeah, it'll be a lot of money out of pocket if your firm does not pay for it. Okay, a couple more questions, and it is time to wrap up for the night here. Farmer Jim followed the host. Appreciate you, Farmer Jim. Aiden Patizan asks, made $550 as a 15-year-old. Would you say that's good? Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a lot more than adults make in a day. So yeah, that's great. John Takes You for 2 asks, how long do you hold ETFs for? Ideally forever. I haven't really sold any so far. I've been investing for 4 or 5 years now. I'd say basically hold ETFs for as long as you can and only withdraw them when you are in dire need of essentially cash to make a big purchase or to once you reach financial independence, you could withdraw on a yearly basis. Like you can withdraw like 4% every year to live on essentially. But I'm not at that point yet. I'm still at a point where I have a lot of earned income from my job, getting earned income from my side hustles. So I definitely don't need my investments to live off of right now. I don't have any large purchases coming up. Outside of, I am buying a house. I mean, I hope to buy a house, but I do already have cash saved up for that, so I'm not going to be selling any ETFs to cover for that. But yeah, the ideal holding period for ETFs is forever, because if you hold ETFs forever, your gains will not get taxed, and we all love avoiding taxes. Astrove9 asks good books about business and self-improvement. I'd say, I mean, this is going to skew more towards personal finance, but that's just the nature of things. I'm Nick Talks Money, by the way, in case you weren't aware. But Rich Dad Poor Dad, Simple Path to Wealth, Intelligent Investor, Millionaire Next Door. Could go on and on, but those are a good 5 to really start off with and give yourself a big long-term wealth building mindset. They're all classics. Okay, let's see. We have 3 new messages. Let's see if they are questions, and if so, I will answer them quick here. Otherwise, it is time to get going. Khalisfa0 asks, what kind of ETFs am I holding now? Big, broad-based, low-fee, passively managed index ETFs like VTI, which is a total U.S. stock market index ETF, VOO, S&P 500 index ETF. I'm still holding on to some VNQ, which is a REIT, REIT ETF, VYM, which is a high dividend yield ETF, and then I have a couple more small cap, mid cap funds, but I'm not investing in any of these further because outside of VTI, but I'm not investing in any of those other ones further because I was like, hey, VTI fits a lot more with my goals because I'm looking for long-term capital appreciation. Yeah, they have a good, solid dividend yield too, but it's not anything like VNQs or VYMs, but it's going to give me a lot more appreciation over the long term, which is not taxed, like I was mentioning. Also international funds like VEU and IXUS are the 2 main ones I'm in right now. Etmahar 15 asks, you're one smart man. I have problems with my memory and messes with me. I like your content though. Yeah, if you have problems with memory, just bookmark videos that you think are helpful. Or if you want to rewatch live streams, they're available through my Patreon page. Rushan4444 asks, I don't know if I did my taxes correctly this year. If I end up having to pay more, when will? And then it ends. I'm guessing you're going to ask, like, when will the IRS notify me? It depends. I mean, if it's a small error, the IRS probably honestly won't even look into it. But if it's like $1,000 or more, a couple $100 even, then they'll probably get back to you within a month to, I mean, honestly, the IRS is so slow right now. It could be anywhere between a month and a year. They're probably just going to send you a letter, how audits work. Essentially, you'll probably get audited. And how these are going to work is they're going to send you what's called a tax notice letter. They're just going to mail it to you. And they're going to say like, hey, whatever part you did wrong, let's say you misreported your wage income, they're going to be like, hey, can you provide us with a copy of your W-2 to verify your wage income? And then you just mail this letter back to them with your W-2 attached, and they're going to look it over and decide whether or not you filed everything correctly. And if you did, then no harm, no foul. If not, then they're going to send you another letter, which could take a couple months again, and say like, hey, you owe an additional $100. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward process. It's actually not that scary. I have to deal with them all the time at my day job, so I'm pretty used to them, but it is pretty scary when you see a letter from the IRS in the mail. So if you see one, don't worry. Don't be super alarmed. Their instructions are usually pretty clear, and it's not usually going to be a really bad thing. Billy Weeb asks, what's my largest hold of my stocks at the moment, not including ETFs? So I'm actually only invested in one single stock that is not an ETF at the moment, and it's a stock I should probably sell right now because I actually ended up just breaking even after holding it for a couple of years. I'm not going to tell the whole story right now, but if you want to see what individual stock it is, my entire investment portfolio is available, broken down line by line, investment by investment amount, percentage by percentage, in my Patreon page in the very first tier. So if you're interested in seeing what I'm invested in, that was bad, I'm sorry. If you want to see what I'm personally invested in, go ahead and check out my Patreon page. And let me see, that's about all the time we have for tonight. Yeah, I've been going for like an hour and a half at the moment. It's a pretty long live stream, so I've got to wrap this here up. Yeah, that's about all we're doing tonight. So if you haven't seen the video I posted earlier today before I started live streaming, please go ahead and check it out. Give me a little handshake emoji down in the comments to let me know that you came over from the live stream. I'll definitely show you some love. I really appreciate you for doing that. Check out Patreon, link in my bio, trying to really build that out, offering a lot of premium content on there if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, Jack, yeah, sorry your question. Can't get to it tonight. But yeah, we're signing off for now, so I hope you all have wonderful nights, and probably be back in a live stream tomorrow. So stay tuned, probably around 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So have fantastic nights. Take care, everyone.